Okay, we're going to get ready to read Chapter 6, Spying on Spies. Before we read Chapter 6, I want to go over the question so you have the thought in mind what you're looking for as you read. The question that you'll have to answer is, what is Casey and Marshall's plan to catch the spy? Predict. When you make a prediction, there's no right or wrong answer, it's what you think, but use complete sentences. Who else was in the Oval Office? Why do you think so? So you'll give a name of who you think, and you're going to give a reason. I need at least 2 sentences of why. Okay? And the rest is questions you'll answer about possessive nouns and using the vocabulary here to fill in different words here. Okay? Chapter 6, Spying on Spies. Marshall grinned as he slurped up the last spoonful. Your wedding, you know what I mean, Casey said. She began pacing back and forth. We still don't know which one is the spy. We have to catch him or her with the goods. Marshall put his bowl and spoon in the sink. What goods? The money, Marshall? Maybe we can catch Arnold or the vice president taking money from Darla. Casey, we can't follow Arnold. He drives his fast motorcycle and we don't even know where he lives. Okay, but we can spy on the vice president, Casey said. Marshall grinned. Spying on a spy. I like that. Will you get dressed and help? Casey asked. I don't want Mom to cancel her wedding. Marshall closed one eye and stared at Casey out of the other. Okay, but promise me we'll go back to the park after they're married. He stuck out his pinky. Casey put out her pinky. Promise, she said. They shook pinkies and Marshall went to change. They rushed to the White House and hurried towards the president's private rooms. A Marine stood guard at the door, but it wasn't Arnold. The guard clicked his heels together when he saw Casey and Marshall. Good morning, he said. Can I help you? Hi, Casey said, surprised to see this short Marine instead of tall Arnold. Have you seen the vice president? No, miss. I just relieved Arnold, and I haven't seen anyone yet but you two. The guard held the door open for them. In the kitchen, Yvonne was cleaning up. Good morning. I have a note for you, she told Casey. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her uniform pocket. Casey read it out loud to Marshall. Honey, Zachary and I need some time alone to talk about the wedding. We may be back late. Love, Mom. I left your lunch in the fridge, Yvonne said. And there's a bowl of fruit on the table. Thanks, Yvonne, Casey said. Did they say where they were going? No, miss, Yvonne said, but I know they took a private car. She hesitated. They look pretty unhappy, miss. Have you seen the vice president yet this morning? Casey asked. No, miss, Yvonne said. She left Casey and Marshall in the sunny kitchen. George slipped into the room behind the maid's heel. As soon as Yvonne was gone, Casey grabbed Marshall by the arm. Now's our chance, she hissed. For what? He sighed. Now's our chance to snoop, Casey said. You've been snooping your whole life, Marshall said. What's so different today? He reached for a banana. We don't have time to eat, Casey said. If the vice president isn't here yet, we can check out her office. For what? Marshall said again, dropping the banana. I don't know, but if she's selling information to Darla Darling, we might see some evidence, Casey said. The kids walked down the hall towards the vice president's office. A large statue of a Native American family stood next to her door, which was partly open. Casey stuck her nose around the corner and nearly fainted. The vice president was standing with her back to the door, talking on a cell phone. Casey grabbed Marshall, and they both hid behind the statue. Just then, the vice president came through the door. She walked towards the Oval Office, still talking into her phone. I know that, Mary Kincaid was saying, but this has to be kept secret. When she was a few yards away, Casey whispered, let's try to find out who she's talking to. Tiptoeing, they followed the vice president. She passed the Oval Office, still quietly speaking into her phone. Then she stopped and stared. Then she stopped and started to turn around. Panicking, Casey looked for some place to hide. The closest doorway led to the Oval Office. She knew it would be empty because the president had left with her mom. Casey poked Marshall, and they both scooted into the Oval Office. There was a big desk, a few chairs, and a long sofa. A tall plant stood in front of the window. This is spooking me out, Marshall whispered. There has to be a federal law about breaking into the president's office. We didn't break in, Marsh, Casey said. Besides, next week I'll be living in this place. Yeah, if we're both not living in jail, Marshall said. Suddenly, Marshall grabbed Casey's hand and yanked her down behind the president's desk. Casey started to protest, but Marshall's hand was across her mouth. She looked at him, trying to figure out what was going on. Marshall's eyes were as big as pancakes. Then Casey understood. She heard footsteps whisper across the carpet. She saw a shadow fall on the wall behind her. Someone else was checking out the Oval Office. Okay, guys, this is the end of chapter 6. So now you're going to go back to your questions and you're going to answer, what is Casey and Marshall's plan to catch the spies? What did they do? Where did they go? And who else was in the Oval Office? So now you're going to write, who do you think was that shadow in the Oval Office? And why do you think it was that person?